Termite control and pest control, we know we need to keep a step ahead of that. But you have an interest in asthma too. Is there anything personal in terms of this interest in asthma and preventing it?
I'm so glad you asked. Yes, I have a son that had asthma growing up, and I actually had asthma growing up, so I really know what it feels like to not be able to get your air, and it's always worse at night. It's always worse at night. And me as a child, I can remember I could not find a position that would help me to be able to get my air. And that's just a scary thing for a child, or an adult for that matter. It's just as we grow older and we have it as a child, it seems like we just kind of put up with it. But as a child, it's very scary to not be able to breathe. And I can remember sleepless nights. And I don't know why, and I'm sure you can tell people why it's more difficult at night, but there is something about that, because I grew out of it when I was 7, and I think it had something to do with my tonsils coming out, which I know not everybody agrees to get those out, but when I did, my asthma stopped, and I was so thankful that that happened. But then I got pregnant and I had a child, and I read all the books and ate liver when I didn't like liver, and I breastfed for 8 months thinking I'm going to make sure I have a healthy child, and my child at 2 had an outbreak. We were in a house full of cats, and all of a sudden my son couldn't breathe and all this, and because of my background I knew exactly what it was, and I was devastated that he was going to have to suffer like I did with asthma. And so growing up, he was a chronic asthmatic. He's 28 now, which he's grown up, and he still has it, which I wish he didn't. But growing up, every February and every November, because of the weather or whatever, he had these big asthma attacks to where I had to get him in the car. I had a little daughter too, but I had to get him in the car and rush him to the hospital because there was nothing else for me to do until he was like 7 years old or something. And then at the hospital, they actually gave me a nebulizer machine, and I don't know if everybody knows what that is, but it's the most amazing machine to be able to give your child comfort and relief of not being able to breathe. It was just the most wonderful thing to be able to give him that. And it's like a breathing machine with this medicine that you stick in it. And I'm no nurse, I'm no doctor like you, but it was sure nice to be able to give him relief. And with all of that, I just realized that there's got to be a better way. So with having an asthmatic child, you do research and you find out, do testing, and you find out what are the things that are prompting him to have these asthma attacks. So I pulled the carpet out of my house because that was something that caused allergic reactions. I put a cover around his mattress to keep the dust mites because he was allergic to dust. Wow. Okay, how do you keep dust out of your house? I don't know. Anybody have the answer to that one? So that was kind of the intro to the whole thing of doing alternative treatments for, it is a necessary evil in a way. You have to take care of the pests because they can bring disease, but then you bring on poisons and that brings on other issues. So then what's the answer? And as a mother, we want to know what the answer is. So what is the answer? It's coming up with alternative solutions to getting rid of those problems in your home. And I found that the mother that stays at home is 4 times more susceptible to all of these indoor air pollutants because she's in the home. And with all the building materials and everything now, it used to be that building materials were much more porous. And so you had less mold because the materials that we used were natural, more wood, more natural, and now they're more synthetic and they're not porous. And so they don't breathe. And so you don't have the air circulation, you don't have that. So what does that mean? That means that we're enclosing more air pollutants inside the home between cleaning materials and pesticides, all of the other items in the home that cause what you're talking about. More impact on the people living there, more disease, more sickness. And so that's why it's important, and that's why I've gotten so involved in getting indoor air pollutants out of the home, making people more aware that there is a better way. And there is an association now that we're building, and it's called United Against Indoor Air Pollution. And that's what we're doing to make people more aware that this environment is there so that we can do something about it. 1 in 4 people suffer from allergies and allergic diseases. So it's important that we get the message out and that we have the answer. We have a way to make it better to live in the home.
I think
that was a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it's what ends up happening. MD becomes...
I'm passionate about this.
MD becomes mother's degree. I mean, you really do have to learn all those things. And the reason that doctors close their offices at night is because fevers go up, coughs go up. And it's because
I did not realize that.
Your own body's level of steroids falls to its lowest around 8 at night, and between midnight and 4, your own body's level of adrenaline is at its lowest. So that's when you're going to be the worst.
Attacks.
And then when your moms come in the morning, you go, oh my gosh, I've been up all night.
All night.
And we listen to your children, oh, he sounds good to me. But that's why it's so important for the doctors to spend the night at the hospital, for us to take regular calls, so we see the natural course of illness, so that when we listen to you, we're hearing what you have to say. The other thing, asthma treatment has gotten much better, and so we have been able to reduce the mortality from the disease, but we're using really strong medication, and so it costs, gosh, thousands of dollars a year. We need regular office visits. So anything I can do to take the chemicals to balance out what's happening is really what I want to do. And it can be things that just as simple, now that we're moving into flu season, as wash your hands.
Absolutely.
Vampire cough across. So if we can keep infection down, we know that fumes are just as important. And so if I can also keep down the cause of allergic reactions, the dust mite, dust. And dust is different from dirt. Dirt is outside. Dust is a gamish of carpet fibers, cockroach legs, cat hairs. It's really what's inside your house, along with, my friend, the house dust mite living on your human skin scales.
The picture of the dust mite is just really gruesome.
So we're really doing our best to get a step ahead of this. So thank you so much for what you've been able to bring to our show, and we really look forward to this organization coming forward. We're going to make certain that as part of the show we give more information about what's upcoming. So,
that would be great. I would appreciate that.
Ventura, it's time for you to get moving. It's time to get green and clean up our environment.